4:06. Wow. I am later than late. I tell you, this tripod. Hola. Cutting off my hair, the top of my head. You know, it's like between my second class, there's not a whole lot of time left. And the masseuse is here this week. I should try to see if I can get a massage. Oh, yeah, that's the right one. That is the right one. Hola. You know, when they tell you a 23-year-old dies of cancer, that's terrible. Terrible. What kind of cancer can you have at 23? Sorry. Colon cancer, breast cancer. Hola, vamos para la calle. You know, I was trying to eat something and then I was like, oh, gotta get my white. It's not Riesling, but I think it's like a Pinot Grigio. Hi. Who's on? You know, I say I'm gonna try to get on Instagram, but I don't know if I can do 2 or 3. I don't know. Hola. ¿Cómo es? Oh, Lynette, again. How are you, my friend? I'm keeping you up. Let's see, what time is it over there? Like 9? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll never forget one day I went to London and it was our first time, my daughter and I. And then I had the hotel, the address, and I flagged, you know, the little cute black cars that look like one of those things you would see in Inspector Gadget. So I flagged the young man. He was very British, right? I gave him the address. He took the address from me, and then he runs around the corner and just dropped us. He said, right there. I'm like, you could have just told us that. You spoke English, I speak English. Oh my God, yes. And that going down like 5 deep to get to the subway was like, woo. But I love Harris. I love London. I really like London. I know I couldn't live there, but how are you guys doing? You know what? I don't think I'm going to be able to wear these glasses because then I can't see your comments. So that's not going to work. That's a no bueno. Even though there's a little, a bit sunny, but I won't be able to see. Yeah, now I can see you. Senora Maggie. Ooh, Lynette is going formal on me today. I like that headgear. Thank you. Listen, you know when your sis is wearing a headgear, now I have it being held by a couple of pins. So if you see me go off, it's because it probably popped and I won't be able to let anybody see what's under there. I washed my hair last night and I braided them. So now I don't color my hair. So there's a lot of gray. Yeah. When sisters say, "What can I bring you?" I tell talks about food. But like little brushes that you buy on the edge, that's the only thing I use now. Sometimes, especially after you wash your hair, the gray just is popping. And I'm like, ah. So I didn't ask anybody. I have a couple of people coming in and they're making a list. And they're like, if you think of anything else, let us know. Let me know. And I'm like, oh, you guys are so good to me. So good to me. It's really nice. So, those of you who were on my live this morning, I went shopping earlier and I had two Spanish classes and yeah. So tomorrow after the live, I'm just gonna rest because sometimes I catch a movie, but no, I need to just keep my little hiney home. Thank you so much. Yeah, I know, that's how we do with our hair, with that we wrap it. And somebody was telling me the story about how we came with the head wraps. I'm sure you've seen that. Is that in slavery time, the white women, I'm just repeating what she said. Some white women felt that the way we were doing our hair was too provocative. It was too pretty and distracting, and they didn't want the ladies to attract their husband, even though probably they were being, you know what? So they made them, ordered them to cover their hair. So the ladies, our ancestors said, "You want us to cover our hair? Of course." So they covered it and they made it stylish. Yeah, we have that knack for doing stuff like that. Yeah. All righty. So let's see what's going on in Panama. Summer has arrived. It is hot now. And I was saying earlier, do you remember me telling you that we thought that the rainy season had extended, and it did, because all through January, February, it was very wet. Well, that has stopped. So the real summer weather is here, meaning hot, hot, and hotter. You heard me say that. So you wake up in the morning and you turn, and it's bright. The living room is bright, even though you have the shades bright. So now I started wearing the eye covers, like before I wake up, because if I want to sleep in a little bit, and if it's the sun comes through, then I'm awake. So now I cover my eyes and I can get a few extra minutes, and that seems to work. But it is hot, and when it's hot here, what we see are fires, water shortages, because sometimes it goes months and it does not rain one drop. And one year that was very significant, and it even affected the canal, the height of the water. Because if you ever come here to see the canal, when they build those locks that open and close, they lower the water level, the ship goes under, and then when they go through the locks, and then they raise the water level, and it's amazing to watch. I don't even think I fully understand the scope of what they did at the canal, to tell you the truth. Because you tell me that you come from the Pacific, and then when you go through the canal, you're on the Atlantic side. That's really hard to understand. But they did it, and we are very grateful. It brings in a lot of tourists. People come, they want to see it, and I'm all for it. Absolutely. I think yesterday they inaugurated a beautiful um, gymnasium in Cologne. And this is something that had been in the works for years. And, Cologne generally feels neglected. So it was nice to see them opening it. There's so many kids, and people are so passionate about that little city. It's like a little microcosm, a different little culture within Panama. Seriously, I was thinking about that this morning. I said, Cologne could be its own little country. within the country because it is just so culturally alive. It's got so much going for it. And the spirit there, the food, the music. I was there last week. I went to that Sabores de Colon, where it was all about food. I didn't buy any food. I was looking for a pipa, which was a coconut, because I went like in the afternoon. So I missed a lot of the stuff, but I wasn't going to go looking for food because I had just finished cooking. Um, but it was all about putting Cologne on the map, let people see it. But the locals always show up. I'll tell you, it doesn't matter what you do in Panama, people show up and they support it in droves, right? Because they just love to have a good time. They just love to be outdoor, enjoying whatever, whether it's the beach or the park or whatever it is. And I think it's amazing, and I think that's one of the reasons when people come here, they feel such a sense of "Hola, Rose, cómo estás?" They feel such a sense of peace and connection. Hola, Auntie, and so yes, they show up. Doesn't matter what you are doing. If you're doing something at the theater, they're there. Something at the park, it's full, right? Fredessa, oh my God. How are you, my love? Are you still in Mexico? My wayward student. She prefers to have fun traveling the world. I can't blame you, sis. I cannot blame you. Okay? Now, I better not take this. One sister said, "Do you realize in your last life you closed your eyes for a few seconds?" I probably did. But I did come back, right? I didn't go, "Oh, we miss you too." The classes are doing really well. The ladies are really catching on. But I always lose some. There are always some who like they have this going on, that going on, or they don't feel that it's not that important at this time in their life. And listen, I cannot argue the point. You spend time, you engage with whatever you feel is important to you at the time. And if something else catches your attention, I'm like, okay, go do you, sis. Do whatever you need to do that makes you feel good, that you want to enjoy, because this is your time, right? All right. So today I thought, yeah, there's nothing else going on in Panama. They're starting to talk about religious holidays, right? Because of Semana Santa in the old city, Casco Antiguo, they always put up a show to attract tourists. And when the boat, the yacht or the big ship bringing visitors come to Cologne, for example. And someone told me they also dock at the um, what do they call that area again? The causeway, you know. Somebody told me here in the chat, they dock over there too. And the other day in the news, they had a ship that had docked there, and then they bring all the big buses and they'll bus those people to Casco Viejo. Because Casco Viejo, the old city, is just such a pretty place. It's apparently where they had beautiful homes and stuff, and then pirates would to come, and there were fires there, just like there were fires in Cologne. So now you have some buildings that are being renovated, right? They just trying to save the architecture, which is all colonial, really cute. And then in the midst of that, you see those buildings, just a shell of them from the fires. So we have a lot of those in Cologne. Oh, it breaks your heart. Because you look at that building, there's a hotel, they call it Hotel something, and it's like a stand, in the corner sideways, just you can imagine, you can visualize what it was, in the old days, all white and just Oh, so there's a lot of investment are a lot of investment opportunities. Yvette, I just connected with you on Facebook this week. Wow. How are you, my friend? You know, I'm kind of saying, I know the name. I wonder if I remember the face. Because sometimes people find me on Facebook and I'm trying to remember the face. But myself, this friend of mine said she was listening to one of my videos and she's like, I know that voice. I know that voice. And then we used to go to church together. Anyway, yeah, this social media is something to behold, right? So they would take these people from the boat and bring them to Casco Antiguo. And from what I hear, Casco Viejo or the old city, is the second most visited spot in Panama after the canal because everybody wants to see the canal. Even though I'll see people and I'm like, have you been to the canal? No. And I'm like, what? You come to Panama, you don't want to see the Panama Canal. That was the first thing that brought me here. I wanted to see the canal. It was a bucket list item. Just kind of check it off, say I've been there. Like I wanted to go to Machu Picchu, so I went to Peru and check. Right? We only live once. YOLO, my daughter said. The first time I said that, she's like, Mom, I'm impressed. You know that. These children. I say YOLO. And the next time she write TTYL, I'm like, oh, so you know, talk to you later. Oh boy. All right. So this past week, I did a video on the fact that as you retire, it does not mean you stop earning. You understand that? Let me repeat it. A lot of us understand in our mind because we've been pre-programmed to believe that you say, oh, I worked for 40 years, and then that you retire, they do a party for you and they give you whatever, a plaque or a pen or something. Buenas. And you think that's it. And in your mind, you like, I'm just going to rest. And there's nothing wrong with resting, right? But the idea that you can still be productive is kind of a novel idea for some of us because we see retirement as a time where we just quit working and we just go have fun, 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 fun. I don't know about you. I think it would get old for me really fast. And that's why you have to know yourself. If you can spend 2, 3 weeks just lounging around doing nothing, absolutely nothing, I can't relate to you at all because I can't do that. Now you see, I'm a multitasker. I do a lot of things. Those of you who know my life, you know I do. But when I feel like I've reached, it's like, okay, ding, 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 Maggie, alarm bell, you need to slow down. I'll just drop everything and take a day. Take a day, I stay in my pajamas, I drink tea, and I just veg out, I call it. But maybe I'll do a next day. After 2 days, I'm done. I'm ready to go back. I cannot sit and do nothing. My mind is always going 100 miles a minute. So if you know yourself, and if yourself that you know says, I'm perfectly content to do nothing, even though it's your right, it's not the best thing to do. You understand that? Even though you may not have financial difficulties, you may say, oh, I make this much money and I'm going to change my lifestyle to fit into that. Well, that may be true, but that doesn't mean you can't stop, you can't make a little bit more money. And like I said in the video, if you invest some money and you make $20 a month and you're like, oh, that's a waste of time. No, ma'am. $20 is $20. It can buy something or you can gift it to someone. You know how they say in retirement, it's time for us to give back? It doesn't have to be giving back, it's just give. It's not back. We just give it. I'll tell you an example, and it's not that I'm trying to say what I do or whatever, but an example. When you get off the train here at the terminal in Albrook in Panama City, there's a long walk between the train and the terminal. And seated along the walls, usually are moms with little kids. A lot of them don't just beg, showing you their hands or whatever, but they'll buy like little packs of candy that looks like halls. And then they'll say, "Oh, I don't know if somebody give them to was a gift to them." And then they'll say, "Oh, if you can help us, just get one for $1." I never want that. But sometimes I'll see someone with babies, and it could be that they borrowed the babies. Listen, I remember in the States, is it in the States or was it somewhere on TV? This lady used to have some babies, and she'd be begging all day, and then somebody caught her changing into her nice clothes and packing her money, and they're like, "Weren't you over there begging or whatever?" For some people it's a job, but you know what I say? I say, if I give someone some money, once I release it, I release it. You know what I mean? What you do with it is your business. Whether you were being true or whether you were scamming or you were pretending, got nothing to do with me. Because once I give it, God sees my heart, I give it. So that's how I look at it. And once in a while, I'll say, "Oh, shoot." I don't like to open my purse in front of people to give them money. But usually, if I have like a couple of dollars or something, I give them a five. Especially if there was this blind lady who would be sitting there saying something. And, I just kind of take her hand and put something in it. And then I keep it moving. I do the Kim. So in retirement, even though you may not need money, but it's okay to make money so you can bless someone else. Don't you agree? Yeah, that's the way I look at it. So if I know myself and I said, when I was getting retired to retire, I said, knowing me, I know me very well. I'm a restless soul. Like I say, I don't need a lot of recovery time. Now, when I go on vacation, I'm on vacation, right? If I leave the country and I go somewhere, I have fun. But even my fun is not go, 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 go. No, no, no. I, as much as I laugh with you guys online, I'm really a quiet, boring person. I don't like to go out. I love to be at home. I'm a super introvert, but I can socialize when I need to, and then I retreat to my little area. And that's what introverts do. They go out and then they have to come back to recharge. And sometimes people think we are antisocial. We don't. You do what you enjoy, sis. If I don't enjoy being in a bar where people are smoking and saying sweet nothing, because I sat there saying, "What am I doing here?" They're not saying anything. It's just a waste of my time. And I'm thinking, I could be doing this, 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 this. So I like quiet entertainment, watching a documentary or just play with my phone, have some music on. I don't need to be out there with the people, jumping and making noise. I don't enjoy noisy places anyway. It's like, "Ooh, I need to go." And then a lot of loud music, I feel it's hurting my hearing. At my age, I need to protect my hearing. So I'm not gonna go anywhere where I don't want to go. So if you invite me, I'm gonna say, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Hola, paz. Hola, señorita. Oh, am I a señorita? That's funny. Gracias. So in retirement, I think like I said, I do not like the word retirement because it gives the notion that we are stopping. It's like a dead end. And it's not. It doesn't have to be. Many factors, you guys know. Financial, you're living longer, you're going to need more money, more moolah, mucha plata. You're going to need more money. And I personally feel that after you've worked for someone for so many years, you've accumulated all this experience, right? The exposure, you learn how to do things, how to manage people, how to get around people, right? Why would you just cut that off? If you could find a way to package all that experience to do something different while you're supposed to be retired on your own time, on your own terms, why wouldn't you consider it? So, what I'm asking you to do today is to switch your mindset, whether you're 20 or 30 or 40, because people who are independently wealthy, they retire in their 30s and 40s. That doesn't mean retiring because they're still managing their money. They don't have a 9 to 5. But let me tell you, they keep tabs on that money and make sure, it grows and grows and grows. So retirement to me is a misleading term. And now that we are enlightened, we need to kind of shy away from it. I could say I would stop working for someone else, yes. So maybe we need to try to coin another term for that. Because if you go and you look at the history of retirement in the, what do they call, the Middle Ages, afterwards, 14th, 15th century, people didn't live long because of what? Disease, right? Wars. People died young. But then you got the Industrial Revolution, machinery, and all that, people starting to work. Then the people who owned those, factories and stuff, there was a guy who went on a university campus. Is it, oh, it's not Princeton, it's one of those prestigious places. He gave a famous speech where he said, men, well, women, we were in the home and they didn't think we were anything. We couldn't do anything, right? You stay in the kitchen, have babies, and cook. He said a man's most productive years ends around 50. He said after that, we need to find a way to get them to leave. Hey, Pise, Pifi. Hola. We need to find a way to get rid of them because their most productive years are over. Can you imagine that? That's what he said. So when Social Security was enacted, after they decided we need to get rid of these people, so if we have a program where we say we're going to pay a little bit of money, it's going to encourage them to exit the workforce so that they can let the young people come. Because after 50, they're like, their mind's gone, they can't do anything else. I'm like, but this is why we make progress, not just in machinery and technology, but it should be also in our mindset. How many things did you believe before that now that you're older, you're like, I had a total mind shift? If you haven't grown. And this is why people who hold certain views that were passed on to them through family, and then they are like grown and their mind is still stuck on the same beliefs and they have not expanded to say, well, maybe that's not the way it is. Maybe this is people who have open minds, right? To first of all hush up long enough to listen to someone else, which is a lost art. acknowledge someone's feeling and beliefs that may be different from yours. Acknowledge it. Sometimes it may make you change your mind, but sometimes it would be, well, you know what? I listen to you. I appreciate that we have a difference of opinion, but let's agree to disagree. That's civility. Another lost art, that we don't all believe the same. We're not homogeneous. But nowadays, if somebody doesn't think like you 100%, even though I could meet you halfway, no, you're all in or you're out. You're a traitor and then you deserve to die. This is where the danger comes in. When we are so rigid in our mind, we don't allow for other people to have their own feelings and thoughts. Who died and made you king? We can think for ourselves. And all we ask, if you acknowledge, you have to agree. That's why when I'm watching people, do videos or put comments, and just now, I was like ready to type something that I retreated. I'm like, no, Maggie, you don't need to respond. I don't need to respond. Because every time you respond to a post, you create a record that will live at perpetuity. That means they can always find that thing that you said. So that's why you have to always think. So where am I going with this? I'm going to tell you my conviction that the word retirement should be removed from our vocabulary. As we live longer, to live to be 80, 90, 100. The other day I watched this little lady said she was 107. The other day there was that young man driving his, wasn't a young man, younger than I, driving his 103 grandmother somewhere, and she was looking spiffy. That's what we have to look forward to. But I bet you if you talk to those people, they'll tell you they're open-minded, they are kind, they respect people, they understand that we're not all the same, that we have our own ideas. They don't go crazy with the diets and this and that and, exercise to the point. They don't do all that. They have attained wisdom. And you know me, I really value wisdom. Someone who can sit and say, let me think about this. That's wisdom, first of all. To just see the need to think through something and not just react. Oh my God, oh my God. You just flesh. There is no thinking to you because you just reactive to every situation and you make decision based on emotion that you regret in the future. And I don't know if you've heard me say that. There are people on death row right now. I used to tell my boys that. People on death row because of a split bad decision. Because they got too emotional. When someone says something that irks you, that makes your blood pressure rise, what you need to do is remove yourself. Not respond. No, ma'am. You're going to go down the wrong path. You're going to say something that is totally based on how you're feeling right now, all the anger, the indignation. People have killed other people in a fit of anger because their sensibilities were hurt or they were lied upon. People will always lie on you. This lady wrote in one of my comments, she said, oh, I really enjoy your talk, whatever you say, but boy, you ramble so much. I wish you would get to the point. I don't know if she was about a what, but I get those. People talk about my poof, the thing I put in my hair. Oh, you're not 8 years old. Let's get rid of that. Who asked you? So you think I'm going to respond to those folks and get upset and say, no, No, it's wasted energy, wasted oxygen. So, retirement, start rewiring your brain. And don't look at the fact that you see Maggie out there doing this, doing that. You say, oh my God, she must be out of money. She must be doing this so she can make a few extra bucks. I'm not independently wealthy, but I'm not hurting. So don't assume you know people's situation. Somebody may be doing something because they want to. What's your business? And I tell people that I said, you do not have to have an opinion. I tell myself that. I say, Maggie, you don't need to have an opinion. No one cares. No one's going to read it. And the person who reads it is the one you probably didn't want to read it, that's going to look at it, store it somewhere, and then. So we wire your brain. We're starting to reimagine growing old and aging. Now, the growing old part, I told you, I've asked God, why do we have to age? He has not answered. So I can't make him. I said, why do we have to age? We didn't ask for this. It's not our fault. Cricket, cricket. But we are aging better. So you can envision, if you quit working for someone, that you can recreate a life for yourself, whether you stateside, whether you out of country, wherever you are. It starts right here. You're only limited by yourself, your own thinking. If you say, oh my God, I'm 70, what could I do? What could you do? What couldn't you do? You're limiting yourself up here. You know how we say parents, teachers who can speak truth and positivity into a child can make them into something, someone extraordinary. Just like teachers who would tell a child, you'll never amount to anything. A parent who would tell a child, look at you, you're a loser. You'll never amount to anything. A kid listening to this day in and day out, it's going to be tough. I'll answer your question in a little bit. HBS, can we continue to make money if we have the pensionado visa? Of course you can. So I'm trying to get you to see that you need to change your mindset. And I'll tell you, for me, when I was working, when I was burning the candle at both ends, when I fell for the lie that said I had to keep pushing, getting the degree, getting the promotion, just to catch somebody's eye to say, well done, Maggie. But in the workplace, that's what we do. We want to elevate, we want to catch a manager's eye to get the promotion, to do this and do that. While we're killing ourselves because, we have to work 2, 3 times harder to get the same benefits. And sometimes you don't even get that. So I feel strongly that the sooner you can quit working for someone else, the better you're going to be. The better off I wish I had, well, I had my business. I love being my own boss. I had my home care company that I ran for 13 years. That was 13 years. So that was good. It was a good run. But it was time to turn it in, so I sold it. But after I did that, I traveled for a couple of years, took care of my mom, and then I got bored. I was like, I got bored. I got to do something. Then I said, I'm just going to do something that I've always wanted to do. Went to culinary school, became a chef. Oh, I love that. I love to travel. I traveled through Europe, took my daughter sometimes, and I love to be a traveler. But I always miss my bed. I do not sleep good in hotels. I don't care if it's a 5 star. I wasn't saying I don't five star hotels. The hotels that I stayed at when I was on the board of a hospital were 5 star, but I wasn't paying for them. Because I've always been a very what's the word? I like to watch my pennies. I don't like to spend money. And somebody, I call myself cheap sometimes. I'm cheap like that. I may be cheap, but I don't like cheap stuff. I still want quality, but at a good price. So, working for someone else, you are enriching them, not you. Unless you're working for a company where you can buy stock, like Publix, that my son works at. And I said, when they're giving you those dividends and those stocks, you buy them. Because where I come from, people who work for that company, they were truck drivers who were millionaires. They invested their money, compound interest, and the money grew. So if you can do something for yourself, I think entrepreneurship is the best way for you to make money. Build something, sell it, invest that money, do something else. I knew in my family that the business that I had, my kids weren't interested. They're not entrepreneurial like I am, like my mom was. So it was like it's not like you're gonna make what's the word? Some kind of succession planning. You're gonna pass it on to your children. Like I watch a lot of Chinese drama, and I don't know if it's true or not. These people would start a business, and then it's an expectation that they would pass it on to their children. But of course, they too have trouble with some kids who are not interested. So entrepreneurship is something that is in my DNA because my mom was. And when I opened my first agency, that was my first business. I opened what we call a staffing agency. And I remember when I opened that agency, I cashed in my 401k because if you know that as an African American woman, it's almost impossible for you to get a loan from a bank. You are seen at high risk. I remember going from one bank after another bank, and their question was, "How much collateral do you have?" Well, I have my house, but I'm still paying for it, so it's not really a real collateral, right? And finally, I think it was God that opened the door. And I can visualize, remember when I was sitting in front of that man, I had started to become known in the community. And then he was working. He said, well, the bank can give you a loan, but we can get an SBA, Small Business Administration, to co-sign on the loan, meaning if you default, they're going to pay us back. Thank you so much, Chef. But let's go back to the retirement part. You need to reframe your mind, not to think of work as something negative. The ability to earn money is a privilege. When I was in college, I remember going to school in the morning, working at a factory that made sanitary pads. I worked the 11 to 7 shift. I was barely, 20? I didn't have a car, didn't know how to drive. I was catching a ride here and there from someone. And I remember this couple, they were my friend. He would drive from New Jersey and pick me, no, from New York, where I live, and pick me up somewhere in New Jersey at 7 o'clock before he went to bed, before he went to work. So he got up, left his family, drove to take me back. And then when I got home by 7:30, 8 o'clock, shower quickly, then go catch the bus to go to college. Better not cry. Because those expectations and standards were ingrained in me, that you will do whatever it takes because you have a goal. I remember when I was in college, so I would take the bus, go to college, and some days there was a little Jewish lady. She would come to the bus stop, pick me up, and I would go clean her house, and she would bring me back home. So I would do a quick homework, go lie down for a little bit, get up, and then to go back again at 11 to go to work. That was my life. But I was going to nursing school at that time. I never told that lady. She was a nurse herself, but I never told her. But she was Jewish and she lived in a big neighborhood. Her husband had money. And I remember when I retired, when I graduated, and I left her a note and I said, well, I graduated from nursing, so I got a job. She was so upset. She said, Maggie, what did you tell me? You know what they say, move in silence? Don't tell people your stuff. I did not tell her. And then that's how my career started. But when I was slaving, not sleeping, taking a little nap while that, and it was a young guy, but he and his wife, I and his wife were good friends. And he did that for me. He didn't have to. That's why right now, even when I was younger, if I was in a position to help someone, I do. It's my duty because others had helped me. So when someone picks up the phone and they say, Maggie, I need this and that, if it is in my power, I will do it. Angels on your path. If God wants to use me as an angel in somebody else's path, I don't have a choice. So being able to work, just reframe your mind. Yes, it could be arduous. Yes, it could be hard and challenging. And I tell people, when you think of your Social Security and you say, oh, I only make $1,200 a month. You know how many people around the world don't have that? You are blessed. So if we would just stop complaining and always thinking of ourselves as not having enough, instead of saying, how can I do a little more, and just enjoy the journey. Don't put your hat up here saying you want to be a millionaire. The millionaires are miserable. Some of them, because they're afraid to lose it. They're hanging it on. Why do you think people are doing all kind of shenanigans? You have billions. Why do you need more? How much more do you need to be satisfied? It's a trap. But you say, oh, but if I don't have so much money in my bank account, then I'm not successful. Who told you that? What is success? How do you define success? Look at me. I wear this all the time. I like it. I live in a simple apartment. I'm successful. I'm not going to compare myself to Elon Musk. That guy is a mess. I don't want to be like that. Mm-mm. You know, when you have so much money, so much pressure, you suffer from anxiety. You can't sleep because you're counting the money. I don't want it. I don't want it. Define what success means to you. And I think a lot of us, especially as women, especially immigrants, It's like you have somebody sitting on your shoulder saying, you need to do this, you need to do that. So we get caught, we got on that train and we cannot get off. More and more and more. Two car payments, a house you can afford, that's too big for you. So when I see two young kids in their 20s and I say, oh, we just bought our first home and they're shaking the keys, and I'm like, you just don't know what you got yourself into, sis. And then the house is like 6 bedroom, 4 bathroom. Why do you need all that? Now, trust me, if you're a millionaire and you want to buy yourself a beautiful home and you can pay cash for it, go ahead. But don't tell me you're working two jobs so you can pay a mortgage that is about 50% of your paycheck and you call yourself successful. And you have high blood pressure, diabetes, you can't sleep, you're anxious. And you call that being successful? Redefine that. Rewind. Rewind. So that's why we got to talk to people, talk to our kids and say, you know what? I believe that, but really, sis, it is not that. And that's why I like the millennials right now. They're like, we're not fixing to work ourselves to death. My son, one of my sons, these kids will humble you. He said to me, I'm working, making decent money, not that great, decent money. You have the car, the house. He said, well, I don't know why you think so highly of yourself. I don't see that you have anything to talk about. But at that time, I'm sure I got upset. But he was being observant. We work, we overcommit, and we don't have time to spend with the kids because when we crash in bed, we're so tired, and then the next day we go and do it all over again. Weekends, laundry, we got to do the yard work. You have church commitment, you got t-ball practice, soccer practice. No time. Then the relationships unravel. But yeah, we're successful in the eye of the world. Look at her. Look at Maggie over there. Sis, sir, if we can think of work as a blessing, it will change your mindset. It will change how you walk into that workplace. It will change how you respond to someone who thinks they're trying to bring you down, and you're sitting here in your glory, in your calm space saying, Adelante, sis. You can't upset someone who is in their truth. They can't. It's like you have something around you that they can throw things at you. It's not going to stick. Did I have those when I was working? Probably not. Hola, Greta. Probably not. That's why I'm so passionate about us in our older years. Just flip that switch and get your mind straight, sis. You cannot keep believing the same thing that you did when you were 30 and 40. There's no growth. When I see older women here in this town acting the fool, and I'm like, seriously? How old are you? I don't say anything to them because I'm sitting over here. You can't touch me. You cannot touch me. So whatever it is that you want to say, you want to do, eat your heart out. Adelante. I'm not going to reciprocate. I'm not going to respond. No, ma'am. I'm too busy being myself, enjoying myself. All right. So if you change your mindset about work, so when you do stop working for someone else, then you're like, all right, what's next? Because it's not like I'm done. I've worked so hard, and this is what they ingrained in us. I remember this couple, I worked with them. That lady worked herself so much, and it was like that magic day is coming when they retire to get their pen and their engrave, whatever. What are you going to do when you retire? Oh, we're buying a camper. We're going to go drive around the country. We're going to see all the kids and the grandkids. 6 months into that retirement, Husband got cancer, she got cancer. Within a year, they were both dead. Now, I'm not saying it's the mindset that did it. I'm not saying that. And that's why we tell people don't put off what you can do today in terms of enjoying yourself, the vacation. I left my last job because I put in for a vacation and it was denied. I like, I'm done. You don't get to tell me when I take time off. No, ma'am. If I need to do something, I should be allowed to do it. Oh, so and so took time. Oh, denied. I'm like, okay, well then, hasta la vista. But I knew when I retired that I was not going to be one to sit and do nothing. It's not in my nature. And I have lived with myself long enough to know that this is not what I want to do. It will not bring me joy. Notwithstanding what sitting down without anything to do causes a slow death. You hear me? If you think you're retiring and all you want to do is sit down, watch TV, maybe get around a golf, and letting your mind just get old and because we're losing some of our faculties, we forget. I was in there earlier trying to think of a word. I'll be walking around. I'm like, what is that? What is that word? It is just so frustrating. I can't remember. And then I got here. It's like, woo! I was thinking of vandalism and it would not come to me. So we are losing some of that faculty. But don't actively just help yourself die. I keep saying move. Movement is life. You need to move. You need to move that gray matter in here too. So I knew that I needed something to do. And that's why I do what I do, ladies. So please do not feel sorry for me. And everybody kept saying, well, you have so much energy, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I love it. I'm not working for anybody. When I had my business, I absolutely love being my own boss. I always say, I had an executive meeting and we decided a meeting with myself. And I'm not saying anything, but I was a good boss. People who work with me will tell you they miss me as a boss. I was understanding. I did not micromanage. I trusted people, which is something that is hard to do these days. And I say that it has served me well. It did serve me well when I was in business. So I knew I needed to do something. What that something was going to be, I was like, well, I'll figure out as I go. Let's start with this and see where it goes. So to get to the crux of uh, the question, can you make money after you quote retire? And I tell people, like my ex-husband, he worked with computers and stuff. And I'm like, you don't want to just say you're going to stop working. Maybe you can work something with your employer. Hola, Roberto. You can work something with your employer to say, can I stay on as a consultant? Because it is important for you to keep working that gray matter, that you don't just shut it off and say, okay, we're done. We close the door. No bueno. That's not good. Not good. So I did some research, as I was watching the videos and YouTube, that was work. And I am a eternal learner. I like to learn about things that I enjoy. Now, not scuba diving, and I don't get into the political discussions. Those things don't move me. But learning about different cultures, I absolutely love that. Food, learning about different cultures. That's why I want to do an Asian tour and learn about the story of teas and cooking and stuff. I love that. So when I created SWRA almost 2 years ago now, it was to give me an outlet to do the things that I wanted to do while I was serving another group. If you know my story, you know I came to Panama because I was looking for a place where I can age in place. But then when I started talking to all the sisters, they wanted the same thing. So now we are in community. We're trying to find sisters who can think, who want the same. It's not cut and dry, and it's not that easy every single day. I can tell you that. You got to simulate that brain, Christine. So after that, it takes time for you to create a concept, then to market it and to package it. And I'm not an expert in any of those. But the end game was not clear, but I was enjoying the process and I was committed to the process. So this is the difference. It's not a job. Oh, let me hurry up and finish it. No, let me look at it over here. Oh, how about over here? You take some little detours. You look at it from the right, from the left, and you turn it around, you move it. That's the process that keeps the creative juices flowing. And when you have a concept for a business or whatever, it changes over time. Especially in the first 2, 3 years, you're just trying to clarify what you're trying to do. I had a meeting with another sister this week. One of my admin team, and we were talking about SWRA and some of the things that we were looking at. And then one comment was to call the acronym SWRA something a little bit different. And the more I kept looking at it, and I'm like, that's not a good idea. Because when you are developing a brand, you don't keep changing it. Because people have short memory span. And they come to, and we take marketing, they will remember you if you keep something in their mind that is simple. So if I say single women retiring abroad, after 2 years, based on the comments that I get, the Facebook posts that I get, people are starting to remember it. This is not the time for me to change anything about it. I can change some other things, but that needs to remain the same. So you need to be committed to the process, but also understand the basic principles of business, because whatever you're doing, you need to treat it like a business. There you go. I did a video for YouTube saying, I was 66 and I got monetized. I think, was it 6 months? Some people do it in 30 days. But who's counting? I'm not comparing myself to the 20-year-old, the 18-year-old. No. Yes, a lot of people do that, Christine. This girl says she thinks she slept for 6 weeks when she got here because she hadn't been getting good, restful sleep. So I don't believe I was motivated by making money when I got started. Let's get it straight, okay? And I'm very transparent. It was more about, how do I get the information? How do I share the information? And the hope is always that at some point you get monetized. YouTube, I'll be frank with you, YouTube is very, I don't want to say finicky, but it's not something you can totally depend on, because so much is out of your control and it's not related to your output. It's not an equal equation. Some people say they have figured the algorithm and they know what keywords. It's like if you were putting a resume together, right? People who are resume expert will tell you, oh no, when you send your resume in, it doesn't go straight to a human being. It goes through, well, now it's AI or the bot or whatever. But there are some words that they're looking for in that resume, in your narrative. So if you don't have those words in there, even if you are the best candidate, you're not going to be pulled out of the big pile into. Same thing with YouTube. Apparently, there are some, you have short keywords, long keywords. Some people are experts in that. And yes, I can hire people to find those words for me, but I'm not there yet. So I cannot say I make a lot of money on YouTube. Average 3 to 5, maybe $600 a month. That's not going to make me rich. You guys know that. So when I keep making videos, it's not to make money. Yes, the little change is nice. Maybe that's going to finance, if I put it to the side, a trip or two a year. Nothing wrong with that. So you're always keeping that in mind. You're not motivated with the money, although you might be. Because if you have a really small social security, you may need to supplement. I don't need to, it's just nice to. Because my house is still in the US. So mindset change. Do what you love to do in retirement, because now you don't have the kids to worry about anymore. Hopefully your kids are grown, they've gone to college if they wanted to go to college. Maybe your house, you sold it or you have it, but the pressure to make a certain amount of money, hopefully, is not there. At least not as much as it was when your kids were little, right? Because you had to maintain that large amount of life insurance just in case. And then you had the car, the house, the insurance, and this and this and that. And as you start thinking through getting prepped for retirement, you should start to downsize. I've told you that before. Don't wait a month before you have to go and say, oh my God, I need to downsize. When you have 20 subscription, you still have two car payments and stuff. It doesn't happen overnight. So you need to put yourself in the best financial situation possible. Pay off the credit cards, get rid of stuff, sell stuff, and then go down to the bare minimum. Now you might say, oh my God, I worked so hard all my life. You mean I'm going to have to live like a poor person? Who said that? I didn't say that. And what is poor? What is poor? If poor means that you cook your meals at home, then I'm poor. If poor means that I don't go out 3, 4 times a week to eat out or to go dancing, then I'm poor. But I feel rich. As simple as my life is. So when I started looking at, well, I could do more. The ladies need information. In the city school, okay. Oh, I didn't know how much they pay. So it was like, well, maybe I can share my expertise with some of these people coming. I put a poll on the first page of the YouTube page, because my next video is going to be about the things that are keeping you from relocating, retiring abroad. And the number one thing, the one that had 50% of the respondent was like fear. But that gives me information. Ding, ding, ding. People are afraid of the unknown. So I can hold your hand, sis. And usually I tell them, I said, look, I've done it. She's done it. She's done it. A bunch of us have done it. And if we've done it, you can too. I remember when I was pregnant with my first child, I was scared to death. I'm going to make you laugh, right? The pastor came with a prayer meeting at my house. And they always say, do you have any prayer requests? Hello? I said, of course I have a prayer request. I'm like, oh, I'm about a month away. Miss Maggie is so scared. Please pray for me. Pray for me. Like, yeah. First baby. And the ladies were cracking up. And this lady said, "Oh, honey, relax." She said, "We've all done it and we're here to talk about it. You'll be fine." And when I went in labor, I remember, of course, I did Lamar's, breathing and everything. And then I was like, "Ooh, you just get started." And this lady looked at me, she's like, "You're not in labor yet." You're not in labor yet. But as often as it was, I did it 3 times and I'm still here. So I told the sister, and I'm like, "I understand. And fear is a normal emotion, right? And I think we put something like that in our chat this morning. We do the affirmation, and I think that's what our sister put in there. It says, courage is not the absence of fear, it's when you move despite the fear. That's courage. I don't have all the answers. I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to watch the videos. I'm going to take notes. I'm going to book a call with Maggie to make me feel, to reassure me. And like I said, when you get into town, reach out. This is my number. If you have a question, call. And I do get those calls so that somebody doesn't feel like they just drop in the middle of nowhere with nobody to talk to ask a question. But I expect you to do your work because there are some people who want to be spoon fed. How do I do this? How do I do that? It's in the video. Watch the video. Get your information. Get a notebook. Take notes. Do your due diligence. Just because I did it doesn't mean I'm going to tell you step 1, 2, 3 to 100. Every little thing you need to do. No, ma'am. That is not what it's all about. That's why the first thing I said, I did the form that says self-assessment. Because, sis, it is not for everybody. Not everybody can leave everything and everyone. I spoke to a sister this week who's talking about her family and how, her mom has this and the siblings don't want to step in. And I keep saying, sis, this is a tough one. I feel for you. But you still have the skills to make it work without letting people work on your emotions with the guilt that they put on you and still put their foot on your chest and you can't move. You got to say, get thee behind me. I am moving forward regardless. That is not the absence of fear. This is moving towards your goal despite your fear. So put people in your corner. Maggie, sister this, sister that. Call the driver that I give you. Call the attorney. Ask the attorney a question. You get your real estate person. Go on the Facebook group, pose your question, read the comments, take notes. Everybody in this town is I have to tell you, in the expat community, if you have a question, you pose it in either a Facebook group or WhatsApp group, somebody's, not just one. I barely answer any question in those chats because I look at that question and I'm like, how many people have asked the same question? I'm not going to even respond. And then regardless, 30 people answer the same question. So you move. So I thought it would be a good idea to just book some calls with people. And I've been doing this for about a year now. And it's good. It is good. Somebody yesterday said, how much do you charge for this? I can't discuss those kind of things in a public forum. No, I'm not doing that. But the other thing that I find is that I'll have people watch my videos, and it's not just me. I've heard other people say the same thing. And then they'll say, oh, Maggie, I'm coming to town. I have a few questions. Yeah, okay. So you go have coffee, and it's like the basic question, 1 to 100. No. It's not fair to me or anybody else, right? I give so much free information in the videos. The least you can do is watch the videos, get some of the information. But if you say, oh, that wasn't clear, can you clarify? That's a different question, right? But then when somebody sits you there and they're grilling you from the basic, it's like, this is not nice. So if you have, I have questions, if they say, I say, please book a call to my calendar. So that's what I do now. And I use my Google Calendar, and whatever I'm doing personally, I put it in there because they can book their call. That way we don't double book, which I used to do before. So it works. Like, yes, tomorrow I'm thinking I needed to take a massage or whatever, but I did not block that time and somebody put a call in there. So I can do that. So that was one thing that I thought I would provide a service, but be respectful of my time too. All right. And as you know, in our communities, sometimes people feel entitled to get your expertise for free. And I do not charge people $300 to do a consultation. I do not. I was watching something about, I think they have a couple of people in Mexico, and there was one video about how this person charges this much, that much. And then there were, now I don't know if somebody's saying that about me. They can, but I don't charge a lot of money because I know people's budgets, because it's not just about the money. But don't think you're gonna pick my brain for an hour for $20. It's not gonna work. And sometimes somebody would ask me that say, oh, I have question, and I say, okay, why don't you just book a call, and you never hear from them. That's okay too. That's okay. Because people pay for what they value. You're selling value, knowledge. So you decide how important that is to you and what is it worth to you. Now, the other side hustle that I do, I've done a couple of ebooks. The ebooks, the first one sold very well for a while when it was new, but now it's been crickets. But I'm thinking it's because I don't have a marketing plan. Anyway, the other thing that I do, my Spanish classes. I don't even remember when I started doing the teaching. When I was looking at doing a side hustle, somebody said, oh, you could teach English online. Well, there was a sister who'd been teaching full time, and she made me do a video and send it in. They never called me. First of all, I felt some kind of way about being paid $10 an hour. And I'm like, I don't think I want to do all that for $10. No, no bueno. So when it didn't pan out, that was okay, leave it alone. So I teach Spanish. And again, it's like a service. I am sharing my knowledge with sisters who are paralyzed with learning the language. And I keep telling them, if you understand, not perfectly, and if you can muddle your way through having conversation with people, you're going to enjoy your time here much more. Your experience is going to be that much richer. The way you're going to connect with the community is going to be that much deeper. Sorry, guys, my lips feel a little dry. So I'm going to take your question in a second. So I do not limit myself. And then this morning, one of my students said, well, Miss Maggie, I was telling her, okay, I do a video once a week, a long video, which is about 20 minutes plus, and that takes work. Unless you've done a video, you don't know, it takes work. The editing takes time. I do a live exercise program Monday, Wednesday, Friday on YouTube for the members. And even though only a few people take advantage of it, but it's good for me. So I'm committed to moving and doing that. I do this on Saturdays. I do the cooking live on Sundays. I'm teaching now 4 Spanish classes. And when you teach, you got to prepare the lesson. And then I video the lesson. Then when we finish, I have to send the video back. This is my way of doing it, back to the student for review and prepare for the next lesson. I work with SWRA because I have to keep up with my sisters, all the different things that we're doing, the clusters, any activities. We have a bang up events committee that is trying to plan lots of things for our sisters. I'm on that committee. We're having Zoom meetings. Yeah. And then anything that needs to be done in the back office, how we grow our sisterhood, how we remain on track, what information are we gathering to make sure we're prepared when our sisters need help, giving information about health insurance. If somebody's in the hospital or needs some help, go help. Preparing monthly meetings for the sisters, monthly meetup, we call it. I have to find speakers. I have to organize all that. Now I'm getting some help with my other admin team about gathering, getting the roll, who's coming, who's ordering their food and all that. Takes time. If we're doing any activities out, in the community, I'm in there too. So it is a lot of work, a lot of research. It's not static, it's dynamic. Things move and change. Sharing information that's important to the sisters about passport, visas, and anything that's happening in the community that could affect them, they need to know. And then you get this sister has this one is leaving, that one's leaving. You got to deal with that too. Screening potential members. We vet our new members. You got to meet with them, give them this, send paperwork. Listen, it's a lot. And then on top of that, now I started doing a cooking, I don't call it a class, for some of the sisters who want to learn how to cook. And then this one said, whose idea is that for you to do that again? So I do the cooking class once a month, and then I started Fridays at Maggie's. Hola, Zahara, oh my gosh. I think I said something to you yesterday. Hola. So now we do Fridays at Maggie's, fourth or the last Saturday of the month. We have like a social thing here where we do line dancing and we have a theme. Woo! It's popping. So I tell my family, if they tell you I dropped dead today, just say she died doing what she loved. Listen, what else should you want in life but enjoy? Like my sister who's 72 and teaching us how to line dance. My 89-year-old sister who's here going to lunch and stuff and driving. Listen, life is meant to be lived. But today, because we're talking about side hustle, we have to make sure that we don't overstretch ourselves. Like right now, I think I'm done. I'm good for a little while. I don't need to add anything else to my plate. And one last thing I want to say before I take your questions. Usually when you're on social media, it's like an arm of a business that you already have. So your YouTube channel, your Facebook group, your IG should be supporting your business. Well, with me, I'm doing the reverse. I have the YouTube channel, the Facebook group, and I know I'm developing a brand of sisterhood for retired women. And I get calls from people in other parts of the world who are saying, I'm looking for my community. I need sisterhood. Would you show us how to do it? And I don't mind doing that. Because if it's working for us, that we can show so much love to each other, no cattiness, no little clicks. I don't agree. I don't allow those. We are there to support each other, to love, genuinely love each other. This is not a social group. SWRA is not a social group. This is a community of committed sisters. who can see what's coming, and we're trying to get ourselves ready for it. That's all. But my ultimate hope is that SWRA will become a brand that we can do something with, and that we can support our vision through some financial means, some way, somehow. I'm still always looking at opportunities. And I'm also hoping that something will happen with my cooking. I get tempted once in a while to open a little cafe like I had before, but every time I think about it, I'm like, oh man, you don't need to do that. It's too much work. I work hard enough as it is. But yes, keep an open mind and don't look at the fact that you may have a side hustle as a negative. It is a privilege for you to package all the knowledge that you have up here and then present it to someone that you can make their life easier with it, because that's what you're selling. Don't tell them, oh, I have an MBA, and people don't care about that. People want to know, how are you going to make me feel better? And this sister this morning, my student, she said, well, Maggie, all the stuff you're doing, you haven't even tapped into what you really should be doing, which is your nursing and medical knowledge and all that. And that's another whole thing to think about. But I need to diversify and delegate a lot more instead of taking more on. All right. All right. Let me go back and see what question you. Woo. Wow. You guys. Hola. This person said, regional sky girl. Paz, señorita. La paz a usted también, señora. That's how I am. I just want peace and no drama. Whew, I can't do drama at all. When I retire and collect Social Security soon, I look forward to doing something else for the love of it. Yes. And then one of the dangers of that, sis, is that somebody will say, oh, that's all you're making. Remember, you're not doing it for the money. You're doing it for the love of it, helping somebody else, and what you get out of it is icing on the cake, right? We're not motivated by just money at this stage. At least I'm not. Can we continue to make money if we have the pensionado visa? Okay. In Panama, when you have the pensionado visa, you are not technically supposed to work. That means you can't go send your resume to a company here and expect to get hired. That's against the law, against your visa, right? They want you to spend your money. That's why they allow you to come in. But Panama also has what we call protected professions. Even if you're not retired, there are some professions you cannot just go and apply for, like medical, legal, and it's a long list. And I think it's, I keep saying I'm going to put all these on the front of the YouTube page so you guys can have access to it. So as a nurse, I don't think they have nurse practitioners here. I could not go into a hospital or a doctor's office and apply for a job. If I am working for a company out of Panama International, yes, because my employer is out there. There are a lot of people here working in Panama whose parent company is offshore. They're somewhere else. Yes, that way. As a pensionado visa holder, I was told, my attorney, when I talked about it, she's like, oh, yes, you can, just relax. We have not had that conversation again. But apparently, for certain businesses, that's what they tell you. You come here. If you want to work, don't look for a job, create a business. And apparently, there are several expats here, or immigrants, like somebody's going to tell me, who are, just like I said, someone said to me yesterday that there was a block of business in an area. She's like, oh, they're all owned by Colombians. You have Chinatown, Colombian town. So there are some businesses you are allowed to do, but you may need to get a work permit. So if I wanted to open a restaurant, for example, as a pensionado visa holder, I probably would have to get a work permit. And I think there are some stipulations that you hire a lot more locals to run the business, right? So there are ways around it. But don't expect to come here and go send your resume and they're going to call you. That employer could get in trouble. Now, if they have some, just like any, I remember when I was looking to go to England as a nurse, they were like, well, we have some specialties that we have trouble recruiting. If you bring that in, they're going to get work a visa situation for you and then you can get hired. All right. That is also something that happens here. If there is, I guess, maybe technology, right, that they would need, that you could work around. So talk with an attorney if you're ever interested in that. And if you want to start a business, of course, they want you to start a business. They might make it easier. So it's not a dead no, it depends. So always talk to the attorney. All right. Uh, You can, as long as your income source is outside of Panama. I don't know what you mean by that, Auntie. But the other thing also, as a retiree, as I'm doing, you can't do anything remote. That's why I teach online. I cannot have like an office or work for a school. No. I do all my teaching online, all my consultation online. And when you do that, it's not considered income that you are generating here and you don't have to pay taxes on it. Of course, it's going to be reported to Uncle Sam over there so they can take their part. All right. Uh, yeah, I don't know if it's outside of Panama. It's outside of Panama, definitely, but remote. If you're in Panama physically, you can work remotely. People are doing counseling and psychologists are here. Lots of people are doing things. Okay. Hi, Miss Maggie. It's always a pleasure seeing you and hearing your advice on life. Your guardians. Ah, thank you, Chef. Buenos dias, Maria. It's those standards that makes us stronger. You hustled, Maggie. I did the same thing. I was working from, I was 16 with a permit. I also did proofreading for this nurse for even found. Listen, again, I think, like I said, change the mentality of what work means to you. There is no work that you should be ashamed of doing, right? But at the same time, when you're thinking of pricing something in retirement, because remember, we have worked decades. So, that's how a lot of businesses don't hire us over there because they think, first of all, we have so much skills that we would be on the top of the scale and they're afraid to give us health insurance. That's the other reason because they think we're going to get sick and cost them money. So when you package yourself and your expertise, don't be afraid to price it correctly. That's what I'm saying. And if somebody says it's too expensive, next, go to the next one. Okay? Because some people always want something for nothing. The billionaires should do more that is good for humanity instead of using it for corruption. Oh well. The happiest people are those who don't compare what they have to other people. Yes, there will always be those with more. And yes, ma'am. And it is always a good thing to be happy with what you have instead of dreaming of getting what the other one. It's like the keeping up with the Joneses. That's how you get yourself in debt. But I'll tell you this one time. I had gotten to, maybe I got caught in that. I had a car that was, what did I do with that car? I don't know if it was giving me trouble or whatever. And then I decided I wanted to get a Beamer, a BMW. Why? Pressure. And then I went and drove somewhere and got the BMW. And I remember going to church one Sunday. And my friend, she was so happy to be driving with me, and I'm low key. I'm like, she's like, oh, put the top off. I'm like, no, let's not do that. I don't like to attract attention. And I remember this person looking at us. His eyes were like, how dare you drive this before me? Because, he was a certain Do you know what I saw? I think 3 months later, he got himself one. Talk about keeping up with the Joneses. It's like, you cannot outdo me. What is that? What does that say about us? That was so sad. I was like, wow. But like I told you before, I did not really get to understand these whole dynamics until I was in my 50s. I wish I could go back, like, and look at some Asian food. The people die and they say, I got reborn. I don't think I get a do over. Hola a todas. Lynette, yeah, my children say the same thing to me. I think too highly of myself. If I don't, no one else will. Oh my God, that's funny. They don't understand how, but I pray they will. Oh my. This is something I wanted to say on the podcast that I have. I have a podcast, I hope some of you have listened to it. The idea that confidence is not arrogance, or you know what I mean? Being confident means you walk into a room, you carry yourself a certain way, and you are comfortable with who you are. And that's why no one can bring you down, because you're comfortable with yourself. So when someone says something to you, I just kind of look at you and it's like, well, eat your heart out. I am not going to lower myself to even acknowledge what you said. And then they think we're uppity, right? Hola. Chat, would you be kind enough? Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Yes, give us a thumbs up, please. Maria, at our age, work should be light, what we are passionate about and fun. Unfortunately, it's not. I hear more and more how people say their workplace is toxic, and the nitpick and the backbiting and it's sad. If you have to, I read, because in my career as nurses, we've lost a lot of nurses, since COVID. Many of us have retired, myself included. But the nurses would tell you that the workload was so, unless you're a nurse, you don't know how difficult that job is, right? You're dealing with the higher ups, all the stuff they put on you about charting and supplies and not doing overtime. Some of the head nurses or managers would come to you and say, "You need to go clock out. You need to go clock out." Well, if you don't document all your stuff, you're the one that get called when they get sued, right? But yet they're telling you, hurry up, hurry up, you need to clock out because you can't stay here for like 10 minutes of overtime. Budget, remember. This girl said she got such anxiety that when she gets on the floor, she would go in the bathroom and start blowing into a brown bag because she was so anxious. She was hyperventilating. And I'm sitting here thinking, how long can you keep a job like that? And especially as a nurse, where you have to have your wits about you. You cannot miss a sign that this patient is going to crash. Because if that patient cries on your shift, I'm telling you, you're going to be a mess. You're going to be devastated. Then you're going to have to deal with the management. You're going to have to deal with the family members and the lawyers. So this is a very stressful job. But for you to get on before you even get report, you're hyperventilating, that's a no bueno. That's why a lot of them have quit. Nurses quit within a year. It's a high percentage because the stress is too much. The expectations are too high. And I remember when I was teaching one year, I was teaching some nurses. This young girl, she was married. She wasn't like a new grad, high school. And I was telling her about what we deal with some physicians who are, so what I'm trying to be really professional here. Some physicians talk to nurses in a demeaning way. That's a nice way of putting it, right? And then certain specialties are worse than others. Some have no bedside manners. They may speak harshly or dismissively to a patient. Then we have to go and clean it up and bring the compassion and the hand holding after the doctor has left. And I remember this doctor went on a surgical floor one time. And no, I was talking to this nurse. Let me get back. I was talking to the student nurse, and I was saying how to deal, because this is a skill set you have to deal with a physician who you know he's an a-hole, but he is the doctor and he's taking care of your patient. So you have to find a way to. And I was trying to explain to her how to be diplomatic and firm at the same time and set boundaries. And she's like, well, that's never going to happen. She went high and her head went up like that. And I'm like, sis, calm down. I said, you are not going to last if you walk in there with that attitude of getting your head up. You got to study and see how you can deal with that doctor, right? This is why if you change your mentality about work, then you're not so susceptible to those vibes. If a doctor, is going off, I would just stand here and watch. Let him make a fool of himself in front of the patient, the family, and then I would say, well, that wasn't very nice, doctor, and that wasn't very professional. So maybe we can have a chat over here, right? Because you cannot allow anyone in the dramas I'm looking at, they call it bullying. And there's a lot of bullying that goes on in healthcare. Nurses bullying younger nurses, new nurses, doctors bullying. Oh, yeah. But when you're young, you don't have the skill set. And going head to head with the doctor is not the way to go. It's not. All right. You're getting tired of working, sis. I feel you. I feel you. I was getting tired of driving back and forth on the highway. Sometimes I would drive an hour, 2 hours one way to go to a facility. And I'm like, and then when you go to the facility, do your work, then you have to drive back home. And when you get home, spending hours writing your notes, because in nursing, if it's not documented, it's not done. You can't say, oh, I was thinking, what did you write? What did you document? That's what matters. So I get it. I get it. But as I say, if you rewind your mindset and then you make a plan and get out as soon as you can. I know somebody who keeps working. She's like 70, 71. I'm like, why? Cut to part-time. Go be a consultant. But dealing with these fools day in and day out, it's hard. It's hard. Maggie, you're so right about needing to brain stimulation. Yes, it's important. You are so correct, Maggie. We've got to keep moving. Yes, ma'am. I will probably spend the first 2 months retirement sleeping. Yes, sleep on, sis. Ah. Maggie, it is over $100 a day to substitute teach in the city school. Well, I don't know, sis. It sounds good, but how are you dealing with these children? I'm hearing it's not fun. I remember my former brother-in-law, I think he was substitute teaching math in a school. The middle schoolers, from what I hear, are the worst. And he said these kids did not pay him any attention. They had their electronics and they were sitting with their legs up. They weren't paying any attention to it. He was getting upset because he wasn't raised like that. You showed respect to the teacher. And then I think he was talking to them, and then this kid sat back and it's like, Mr. So and so, you don't get it, do you? He said, we're only here for the food. He was trying to teach them math. And this kid said, we're only here for the food. And all the disrespect, and they don't care, they're not interested. I don't know. I don't think I want to work in the school, period. With these children, they probably handcuff me at some point. No, no, sorry. That's what I want to do. is downsize and pay off credit card. Yes, ma'am, that's a good plan. I get overwhelmed when I think about it. I know, but there are people like me. There are people like Abroad-SWRA Adelia in Mexico. She will give you step by step instruction on how to do that. So you're not by yourself, sis. If you feel overwhelmed by the process, where to start, a consultant, someone can coach you into it. All right. And this is where I tell people, don't be stingy about spending a few dollars to get expert help. All right. That's why you go on the relocation tours. You go on 7 days and you get so much information, and it's very helpful for some people. Hello, Maggie. Ajeni Bene. Oh, that's a new name for me. Hola, ¿cómo estás? When I get there, I will definitely reach out to you. Please do, Auntie. Nobody's an island, and I so understand. I had a sister. Of course, we had the consultation call. She had all the questions. Because when I do a call, I said, okay, write down all your questions for me. Let me answer them. And I have my pad and pen when I'm talking to you. Anything I feel like you might need an answer to, a contact, a referral, I write it down. At the end, when we're done, I answer the question. I send you the referral, the people to pick you up from the airport, the realtor, the attorney, everything that you might have needed, and I email it to you. So you get a lot more. So when she got here, after we did all that, every day she would say, well, Maggie, how about that? How do I do this? How do I do that? I mean, it was like a 1 to 2 weeks. I mean, she fired one after the other. Well, what was I going to do? I answered the question because that's what I'm here for. All right. So don't ever feel like you're by yourself. And some sisters come in here, let me tell you, they just hit the ground running. They don't even ask me anything else. I'm like, oh, friend here, friend that, I'm going, you going there. I'm like, they're connected. Yeah. But one of them came here too, and she got sick because she really overdid it. All the packing over there and unpacking over here. And she's one of those. I had to get all the suitcases emptied out, and I'm like, not me. I travel, I come back. I used to be one of those. I got to be doing the laundry on day one. Now I look at it and I turn around and do something else. It's not laziness. You just delay what's not important. And I'm cool with that. Yes, ma'am. It's the fear of getting sick and you need to come back if you have already a pre-existing condition. It depends on the pre-existing condition, sis. So what I tell people who may have a fragile medical picture, let's say you're a cancer survivor and you've had multiple bouts of cancer, and you are supposed to be, there's a sister here, I don't know if she has cancer, but she has to go back every couple of months. And I spoke to someone again this week who has to go back every couple of months. So you have to do the math. Is the service, the care that you need, can you find it wherever you want to go to? And is it comparable? Because let's say you have a 20, 30-year history with your medical team. It's going to be hard for you, to think about recreating a team like that here. I had a sister who said, well, I need these 3 medications. They keep me alive. Can I get them here in Panama? And it's like, ding, 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 ding. You're looking for newly released medication in a developing country. And that's why I have to say, you got to think about this, sis. Is this the right time? Is this the right decision? It's not that we don't want you to come, but we don't want you to come and then get stuck and not being able to continue your care at the same level that you expect, because it may not be possible. There's some medications that are not available. Some people have to go to Colombia to find their meds. Do you want to do all that exercise? Some people are bi-coastal. They go over there, get checked, do their PET scan and stuff, and then come back. If you can, if you have the means to do that, some people do it. And they feel that the peace that they get here while they're here, they say it's worth it. You put your money where it's most valuable to you. I can't decide that for you. You have to decide it, right? Yeah. But the fear of getting sick is real. But I'm thinking if I were to get sick over there, I don't even know that I would be better off. I really. My daughter has her job. The boys, boys, it's like everybody's busy doing something. I'd still be left to the nursing home, the rehab facility. No, 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 thank you. No. That's why I don't want it. I don't want it. All right. The unknown is where you find yourself. Ooh, Greta, you're being philosophical, my friend. Moving towards your goal despite your fear. I almost booked a call with you, Maggie. I just don't know how far out to book it. Whenever you feel you're ready, sis, not a problem. Like you said, people will pay for what they value. Indeed, there is an old adage that says, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Oh, I love that. Yes, yes. Do you only teach Spanish to the sisters in Panama? No, ma'am. I have students in the US. Yeah. They're preparing to come. So, months out, they are learning some Spanish. Yes. Yes, Greta is in Mexico. See, Maggie, I think I jumped. I jumped. I love how you have structured your life. Sis, I love my life too. I really do. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I have to get up and work out with Greta so I can sleep in. But I love Tuesdays and Thursdays when I don't have to set my clock. And if I set someone, I have to set an alarm, they'd be scandalized. But you're retired. Is that retirement word again? Strike it, take it off. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I stay in the bed and I play with my phone, unfortunately, till like 9:30 or 10. Yes, I love it. And if I have to, like this morning, it's Saturday. I set up my alarm for 6:30. I had to go to the fish market because I have to get the fish early on, otherwise I don't get the best choice. But that's me. And you know how I structure the life? I remain mobile. I walk a lot of places. Uber is a last option for me. I take the metro, I take the bus, I walk because it's good for me. And when I say I put my meat, my fish in a backpack and I carry it in my back, most sisters are like, oh my God, you're hurting your back. No, sis. It's like doing exercise with weights. And it's only for a short time. I'm good. All right. It is a must to have nowadays. I'm not sure what she's referring to. How can we enroll in your Spanish class? Usually, if you send me an email and I'll put it in the chat, I send you the flyer, and then I have a sheet that talks about how the classes are structured, the prices, and how you pay for it, and how we enroll. Now, what I do, my classes, I don't have class one, two, three, four. Well, I do, but it's not like you finish one, then you move to the next. No, each group moves at their own pace, right? So we start at the very beginning. And my student said, this lady said, I feel dumbed down like I'm back in kindergarten. And I'm like, well, that's where we all start. When I'm trying to get them to say the alphabet, that's really humbling, right? Because it's not A, B, C, D, E, F, G, it's A, B, C, D, E, F, H, H, E, H, So they have a little trouble, feeling like I'm treating them with kids. I'm like, but you have to know the alphabet because that's how you know how to say the words. Oh my God. It is so funny. It's hilarious. So the classes move at their own pace. And I have 4 classes going on now. So it's me trying to start another class, then I have to say, okay, if you interested in another class, I'm going to start a waiting list. And then when I have 5 or 6, open another class. Okay. But I think I'm doing one more. If I have 5 classes, that would be it for now until some people fall off. And then the way the classes are too, especially with my first class, I tell them, if you get to a point where you feel like you've gotten, the basics from me, the sentence structure, and all you need is to learn vocab, you could say, well, Miss Maggie, I think I got it. I think I can continue on my own. You can do that, and I celebrate you. I just hope you continue learning so you don't, because, just the fact, you have to come to class kind of keeps you accountable. But that's me. I'm just saying that. That's why for the exercises on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm very happy because otherwise I'd be in the bed, right? All right. Oh, my email. So you send me an email and I'll send you information about the class. The classes. We have fun. Glad I will tell you we have fun. Um, when I get there, I want to help you shop for your meals. Oh, thank you. I have a sister though in my cooking class. She said, "Well, I need you to help me with this and that." So we're gonna meet on Monday so I can help her get set up because she said she felt so good after eating the first meal because they were sitting there. Everything is clean and fresh. We just eat herbs, no prepackaged, nothing. They like that. She said it made her feel good. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah. I have a medical background too. Okay. I think maybe that will change later on because when I moved here, I was thinking I would continue doing some online teaching. The colleges, even though they have some online teaching, they want the teachers to be stateside. Or they have some type of hybrid. Hybrid means part online, part classroom. And I was thinking, maybe medical review, legal sometime. Nothing penned out. Nothing. And I put my resume on Indeed and other places. And I'm like, well, maybe the universe is telling me to go a different what I did. But I think what I could do next, I still need to work on my cookbook. Oh my God. Package my psychiatric background with, and that's what the sister said this morning. She said, you haven't even touched the surface of doing coaching for people with their mental issues, anxieties, depression, and, even coming to Panama. That is an anxiety producing stuff. People dealing with their loved ones and the stuff. And I was like, you got to sometimes, and that's what counseling does. It just takes somebody to be outside of the situation to look at it and say, have you thought about that? Have you thought about that? Because we can be objective, but you're so into it, you can't see the forest from the trees, right? Miss Maggie, I'm not a sister, Susan Basta, and I'm surely older than you. Really, Susan? I'm 67. I plan to relocate, taking a tour. Good for you. Your words are comforting. Oh, somebody said I sound like Maya Angelou. That is the greatest honor. I do not sound like Miss Maya, but thank you for whoever said that. Like Maya Angelou, agree with unserious question. Thank you. I want that. Ah. Oh, remote. Yes, Auntie, remote. When you say outside of Panama, you can be remote and live here. Age discrimination. Listen, after I sold my agency and I traveled a bit, then I wanted to get back in nursing. I went to a few hospitals. They would not even look at me. I think I was like maybe 50. They look at, like that guy said back then, that past 50, people don't see you as valuable. And this is such a waste, such a crazy notion to think that somebody in their 50s, they're like gone and not, I don't want to say usable, but I think you better. because now I'm more patient. I see things a lot clearer. And I think if somebody were to hire me to work, for 3, 4 hours a day, I would be more productive. I wouldn't be taking breaks and just screwing you. They're just missing the boat. They are missing the boat, period. And that's what I told someone. I said, you have, like in my group in SWRA, we have so many teachers. If those teachers would work maybe 5 hours a week, maybe coaching or tutoring someone, you know how much better those kids would do? Huh? Remotely? No, but they'd rather hire the 20-year-old instead of hiring us. It's a travesty, really is. I work with nurses every day and CNAs. Those are tough jobs. Oh, no kidding. This guy posted the other day. He said, I just got spit on by a patient, not once, twice. He's a guy. He's not a woman. And he said there was nothing I could do about it. Because if you even raise your voice at the patient, they're gonna call the cops on you. And guess who's going to jail? Not the patient. I have got to go between a patient and a nurse. That patient, for some reason, got a hold of one of those scissors and he was going for that nurse. Those are the kind of things. Those are the kind of things that we deal with on a daily basis. Healthcare professionals, their lives are at stake. I remember going to see a patient one time. He had been transferred from a major hospital, and they had put a defibrillator on him. And then he went into a house, and they were fighting and fussing. And the person who went called my staff, called said, Miss Maggie, this guy's thing is gonna fire up because he's all upset, blah 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 blah. I'm like, okay. I said, I'm coming over. So I put on my lab coat, jump in my car, and I told my staff, I said, it takes me 20 minutes to get to that man's house. If I don't call you in 30 minutes, call the cops. I didn't know what I was going to walk in there, but I needed to take care of my patient and protect him. So when I got in there, I'm like, excuse me, I'm the nurse responsible for this patient. I'm like, who are you? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you need to go home, sir, please. You, ma'am, you need to go sit down. You go to your room. And I put everybody in their places, and I calmed the patient down, and everything was good. But it just so happened it worked. Nurses have walked into places when they're fighting and they fired the gun and the nurse got killed. This is life, okay? A nurse practitioner got killed by a patient she was trying to help as a psychiatric nurse practitioner. The patient, I don't know how, maybe he stabbed her or not, he was hearing voices or something. Listen, don't hang on to your life too tightly. You don't know when it's going to be taken away from you. I became an RN, in my 50s. It's no joke. Very stressful. I was a medic and occupational therapy assistant. The private duty is a lot easier. Yeah. But I've never wanted to do that. I don't want to take care of a kid with a trach and stuff. Not for me. But I love psychiatry though. I do. Yes, we are sisters. Uh, it is. But again, just see the value in what you're doing and not what you get out of it, what you're doing for that patient, for that family. I'll tell you one of the not joyous but comforting things that I had done one time. I was working in the ICU, cardiac, and this young man, he was young and he had died. And you know how patients kind of hang on until their family members come before they go? And it was one of those cases. So we kept upping the drips because somebody was coming from far away to come see him. And we kept talking to him saying, so and so is coming, and then, watching the vital signs and all that. And when that person did come, oh my God, it was such, because he was a do not resuscitate. We just kept him until that person came. We went in there, we cleaned him up, we lowered the lights, we had candles, and we allowed the family to come and they sat and they were holding hands, they were talking to him, touching his hair, and that man went peacefully, and it was the most beautiful thing. And as a nurse, I felt like I was part of something magical, that I had helped this person transition with his family around him. And everybody was crying. I was crying, they were crying. So nursing sometimes is more than just taking vital signs and making beds. It's being that facilitator for a human being. I love those things about nursing. I feel like I work harder than the younger nurses, of course, because you're more responsible. Um, a lot of clients out here in need of psychiatrists. Yes, not just clients, people in general, because life is tough. Okay, okay. I so close to I so close to stopping working. I have 2 more years to go to apply for Social Security. I am getting my military pension though, that's good. So I could stop, but my twins haven't gotten themselves together yet. I get it. I have a sister here who's also a veteran, and the veterans do well here. You probably do. The work ethic is not comparable. Yeah, hang in there. I think that's it. Any other question, ladies and gents? I think I got to the end of it. Yes. So don't look. Let's see some of the things you could do in retirement, right? Teaching. I talked about tutoring if you're a teacher, and sometimes you can start doing something for free until it catches on and others hear about it. I was telling someone there's a sister who's putting together something about the head wrapping thing. She's doing a class in some restaurant. I'm like, you could do that online if you know how to do it. I mean, I do mine, but I don't think I'm knowledgeable enough to teach people how to do it. I just go this and go down and twist, twist, twist it. Yeah. And then there's tutorial online too. Some people work here as trainers. They get people to do exercise to walk with them, because sometimes people know what to do, they just need support, right? Somebody to say, come on, let's go to the pool, let's go for a walk. Yes. um Anything that you could do, like being a virtual assistant, if you were someone who is very organized, which is what I need. I just can't afford them, but someone to keep you organized, manage your social media account. Some people will do HR stuff remotely, like scan resumes and pick the ones that they need to interview. Um, uh, some people manage people's schedules, right? That's a good thing. Some people do. I know that there's somebody do travel agents, organize people to say, okay, we want to go on vacation, my family of 5 or 10, and we just want to give it to someone. That's something that somebody would pay for. Organize a retreat or being a speaker at a retreat. Adelia is doing that. Um, but that's a lot of work. I want to do very little work. And I decided that in this temporada, in this stage, I don't want to have employees, because one of the worst thing of having a job is managing people. Oh my God, that is the worst thing. But you know your standards, right? But it's a lot easier to get passive income than having to do something to get a paycheck. All right. You can start like that, but your goal should always be to get to a point where you have like digital products or something that can continue, or books or whatever, to give you some money. Let's see. I think I saw something else. You probably do the work ethic is yeah, you did that already. I think for us all, thank you, Auntie, for your encouraging words. She is that, that's for sure. I so enjoy these lives. You're welcome, Auntie. Yes, we need prayer. Yes, ma'am, we need prayer. Or maybe one of these days we'll start with prayer because I don't know. This world is crazy. But what I tell people is that don't think it's the worst it's ever been. All right? It's always been crazy. So before you say, oh, it's never been this bad, yes, it has. Yes, it has. Man has always been this wicked, if not more. I was telling the ladies that they went and visited a little home here in Panama, and they found a 9-year-old who's pregnant because she had been abused by someone. And, you know, the craziness, crazy stuff that you hear, it's everywhere, everywhere. The wickedness, the evil is everywhere. So your job is to keep yourself sane. Don't get too distracted by all the noise because it's always been there, always will be there. All right? You got to work on yourself. So if I need to put something together and said, if you want to come, you know, have a session, talk, and see if you can clarify something in your mind, I don't mind doing that because I'm good at doing that. But we have to find something to anchor, to hang on to in this crazy world. Because once you let go, that's when you get sunk in that dark hole, and that's a no bueno. Mm-mm. All right? Have an amazing week, everybody. Yes. I was hoping to go this year, but next year maybe we're gonna say, okay, all right. Well, anybody, when you come to Panama, just say hello. Just say, hey, Miss Maggie, I'm in town. Can we have coffee? I probably won't be able to have lunch, but coffee I can do. All right. All right. Have a good evening, everybody. God loves you. You know I love you. Au revoir. Bye.